6 million people voted. Took the time out of their schedule to make sure I got this right here. That's an amazing journey. So many people believe in me, and that just gives me that urge to just keep moving and keep pushing.
You won't believe what Jamal Robert just revealed. After years of silence, frustration, and living with the pain of discrimination, Jamal has finally decided to share his story with the world. And let me tell you, what he's saying is not just emotional, it's powerful, eye-opening, and long overdue. From subtle microaggressions to overt acts of racism in both his personal and professional life, Jamal is breaking it all down.
The first time that I had peace, like before I sang, because I usually be like, oh Lord, I gotta do this song, I gotta do this song. But this time I was like, you know what? Let's just get up there and sing. And I wasn't stressed, I didn't miss no lyrics, I didn't do nothing. It was just a peace that came over me. And
He's not holding back, and this conversation is one the world needs to hear right now. It all began with a post, just a single heartfelt message on social media where Jamal opened up for the very first time about the racism he's faced. The response? Overwhelming support, viral shares, and thousands of comments from people who felt seen, heard, and validated. But this wasn't about going viral. This was about truth. And Jamal's truth is one that resonates with so many others who faced similar battles. Growing up, Jamal always felt like he had to be twice as good just to be seen as equal. Teachers questioned his abilities. Employers second-guessed his decisions, and even so-called friends made offhand comments that left deep scars. But he pushed through it all, keeping his head down, staying quiet, and hoping that hard work would be enough. Spoiler, it wasn't. In his 20s, Jamal started climbing the ranks in his industry, only to find the discrimination didn't end with success. In fact, it got worse. He recalls being in boardrooms where his ideas were ignored until someone else repeated them. He remembers interviews where the tone changed the moment he walked in. And he speaks about moments where he had to choose between calling out injustice or protecting his career. But what finally made him speak up? It wasn't just about him anymore. Jamal watched as the same patterns of racism crept into the lives of his younger siblings, his students, his mentees. He realized that staying silent wasn't noble, it was harmful. And so, he broke his silence, and the world listened. One story in particular stands out. Jamal talked about a company retreat where he was the only black man present. A colleague made a joke that stopped the room cold. Everyone laughed nervously or looked away, but no one said a word. Jamal did, and the fallout? He was labeled difficult. But he says he'd rather be labeled difficult than continue to allow disrespect to go unchecked. His story isn't just a personal vent, it's a wake-up call. Jamal's words are forcing people to examine their biases, question their systems, and rethink what accountability really looks like. And let's be clear, he's not doing this for pity. He's doing this for change. And the change starts with uncomfortable truth. Since speaking out, Jamal has received messages from people all over the world, some sharing their own experiences, others admitting they hadn't realized how deep racism still runs. Schools are asking him to speak. Companies want him to consult. Media outlets are requesting interviews. But Jamal says the most meaningful responses have come from young people, those who finally feel like someone out there gets what they're going through. Despite the attention, Jamal remains humble. He's not claiming to have all the answers, but he's committed to being part of the solution. He's working on a book. He's hosting discussions, and he's showing up in spaces that used to ignore voices like his. Because that's what courage looks like. Not just telling your story, but using it to build something better for others. And here's the thing, Jamal isn't alone. There are countless people with stories like his, but too often they go unheard. That's why what Jamal is doing matters so much. He's giving people permission to speak, to question, to demand more. So, what can you do? First, listen, not just to Jamal, but to anyone brave enough to share their truth. Second, reflect. Ask yourself what role you play in the systems around you. And third, act. Support causes that fight for equality. Call out injustice when you see it. Be the ally you say you want to be, because silence doesn't protect the oppressed, it protects the oppressor. Jamal's voice is strong, clear, and impossible to ignore. And it's just the beginning. He's not going back into silence. He's just getting started. Make sure you hit that like button, drop your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more powerful stories that matter. Share this video because someone out there needs to hear this today. Let's keep the conversation going together.